Hello, dear viewers. Welcome. I am Professor Mishramka Sunitra, Assistant Professor in Department of English, JAT, Arts, Science and Commerce College for Women, Maligaon. The topic of my presentation is Swami Vivekananda's iconic speech at the World Religion Conference in Chicago, which is remembered as the Chicago Speech. This speech was delivered on 11 September 1893. Swami Vivekananda gave the speech full of wisdom, and therefore it is known as iconic speech. As he started his speech, saying as brothers and sisters of America, he captured the audience. These words blew everyone's mind, and therefore this speech is remembered by all. This speech included patriotism, love for all religions, analysis of religions, acquaintance with science, the necessity of rituals, and the roots of Hinduism. Now we'll focus on Swami Vivekananda first. Swami Vivekananda was born on 12th January 1863. He was born in Calcutta, Bengal Presidency. Now it is known as Kolkata in West Bengal. His parents were Vishwanath Datta and Bhuvaneshwar Devi. He took his education at Calcutta Metropolitan School and later on in Presidency College, Calcutta. He established the institutions Ramakrishna Mutt, Ramakrishna Mission, and Vedanta Society of New York. He always focused on his philosophy of Advaita Vedanta. He wrote the books Karma Yoga, Raj Yoga. His lectures from Colombo in Almora are famous. He died on 4th July 1902 at Belur Mutt, Bengal. Swami Vivekananda was born in an aristocratic Bengali Kayastha family of Calcutta. He was inclined towards spirituality. He was influenced by his guru Ramakrishna. From his guru, he learned that all living beings were an embodiment of the divine self. Therefore, service to God could be rendered by service to mankind. After Ramakrishna's death, Vivekananda toured to Indian subcontinent and he acquired first-hand knowledge of the conditions prevailing during British reign, that is British India. Later on he travelled to United States. He represented India at Parliament of World's Religion in 1893. Swami Vivekananda conducted hundreds of public and private lectures, classes. He focused on Hindu philosophy in United States, England and Europe. In India, Vivekananda is regarded as patriotic saint and his birthday is celebrated as National Youth Day. Swami Vivekananda was a Hindu monk and one of the most celebrated spiritual leaders of India. He was more than a spiritual, just a spiritual mind. He was a prolific thinker also. He was great orator and passionate patriot. He carried on the free thinking philosophy of his guru Ramakrishna Paramhans. He worked tirelessly towards the betterment of the society. He worked for the poor and needy people. He dedicated his life for his country, and he was responsible for the revival in India. In the history of mankind, there have been rare instances where the introductory words spoken by a person have electrified the whole audience as much as Swami Vivekananda's groundbreaking speech, which was delivered on 1893 at World's Parliament of Religions. He started his speech with the words, "Sisters and Brothers of America." In this speech, he managed not only eliminating the difference between Swamiji's status as a person belonging to a different nation and religion, but also made the audience realize that they were in the audience of someone who could really show them the path of universal brotherhood. The speech by Swamiji has been often referred by leaders from across the globe in present times to remind the audience of the values which Swamiji's speech stood for. These words are very important in today's time because these words are full of compassion, brotherhood, tolerance, and acceptance. While we see the globe being in throes of sectarianism, fanatism, and persecution, it is a time to turn to Swamiji's speech and to focus on the key values which he has highlighted in his speech. Swami Vivekananda delivered 6 lectures in World's Parliament of Religions on 11 September 1893. It is commonly known as Chicago speeches. Swami Vivekananda was a youth of 30 at the time of Chicago's speech. He went there uninvited. He had no previous experience of making public speeches. Through the Chicago speeches, he tried to impart messages which are indeed timeless and extremely relevant in today's context. After Swamiji's deliberation in the World's Parliament of Religions, a leading newspaper of America, the New York Herald, wrote, "He is undoubtedly the greatest figure in the Parliament of Religions. After hearing him, we feel how foolish it is to send missionaries to this learned nation." According to Boston Evening Transcript, Vivekananda's address before the Parliament was broad as a heaven before us. It embraced the best in all religions, and finally it turned to ultimate universal religion, that is, charity to all mankind, and good works for the love of God, not for fear of punishment or hope of reward. Swami Vivekananda addressed to the audience by saying, Sisters and Brothers of America. Now, first, we'll focus on few lines of his speech. Sisters and Brothers of America, it fills my heart with joy unspeakable to rise in response to the warm and cordial welcome which you have given us. Thank you in the name of the most ancient order of monks in the world. I thank you in the name of the Mother of Religions. And I thank you in the name of the millions and millions of Hindu people of all classes and sects. My thanks also to some of the speakers of this platform who, referring to the delegates from the Orient, they told you that these men from far off nations may have claimed the honor of bearing to different lands the idea of tolerance. The words should not be words alone, it should be sowing. The Indians have religious thoughts, but they have one unnecessary thing, that is poverty. Others get religious thoughts from Indians and help them to remove the poverty. When he concluded his speech, people stood and they offered standing ovation to Swamiji. The committee members requested Swamiji to come again to the conference hall. Dear viewers, still the Indians are suffering by poverty, but we have enough religious knowledge. If we want to abolish poverty, it means we must create awareness among the people. We must remove the ignorance among the masses. Here, we should follow the path shown by Swamiji. The speech blew everyone's mind. Swami Vivekananda had mentioned the basic yet most important things that one should follow in life. These things are being a patriot, loving all religions, analyzing religion, being acquainted with science, knowing importance and necessity of rituals, being aware of the roots of Hinduism, being aware of the goal of science, being aware of the cause of downfall of India, and being against religious conversations. The logic of the speech delivered in 1893 was clear, and its scientific insight received plenty of attention at that time. In fact, following his speech, the dignitaries present at the said event gave him standing ovation. It lasted 2 minutes. In fact, this earned him the fame as a cyclonic monk of India. The beauty of his speech is that it is quite relevant even today. The importance of patriotism. During the speech, Vivekananda discussed how India had been a shelter and refuge for people shunned over centuries in their own homeland, as well as for one who were looking for a better life. He waxed eloquent on how India had welcomed one and all, irrespective of their race, religion, or creed. In fact, it is this multicultural heritage that has made India such a diverse country. Vivekananda's pride in this aspect of history is something that we can learn from and exercise in our life. Love of all religions. During his speech, Vivekananda discussed how people of different religions, religious beliefs, and faith needed to maintain their separate entries, and how the country itself needed to assimilate all these people and forge a peaceful entity that was growing in an organic manner. This rings true much more than anything else in this day, and especially in the age when people are being gunned down for voicing their opinions. It is relevant in this age when there is a general disapproval for others' views and beliefs. In such situation, even today, his speech is very important. We should have love for all religions. Analyzing religion. One of the high points of his speech was when he described how people of different faith of his time were happy in their own bubble and how they considered it to be all and end all. In his speech, he thanked the USA for its efforts to break down those barriers and create a greater understanding of different religions of the world. This is applicable even today because most of the time we find people hate other religion, or they hate certain parts of the some religions because we don't know much about anything about it. We don't understand it, and this surely needs to be changed. We need to know about things before we can make a judgment as such. Therefore, we must analyze religions. Here, Vivekananda narrated a short story. A small frog lived in the well. It knew only about the well and the living creatures, those that lived in the well. Near the well, there was a sea. Once, the cyclone attacked the sea, and the sea water spread in the well water. Then a sea frog mingled with the well by the force of air. The well frog wondered the size of sea frog because it was big in size. The well frog wanted to communicate with the sea frog. The well frog used to ask some questions to the sea frog. First he asked, "What is meant by sea? How it is look like? The sea frog replied that sea is the largest surface covered by water. But the whale frog could not analyze that. So it wants to know that to make some action by sea frog to confirm the water level of the sea. The sea frog also silently watched and replied that. The whale frog jumped 4 feet and asked, "Is this the water level of the sea?" The sea frog replied, "It's not." The whale frog jumped up 4 feet and asked, "Is this the water level of the sea?" The sea frog replied, "Not." Again it jumped up 4 feet and asked the same question. The sea frog replied, "It's not." It had many confusion to know how surroundings and depth of the sea once it came out from the well and saw the surrounding of the sea and wondered about that. Now he said, the religious concepts are just like the whale frog. Here Swami Vivekananda focused these religious concepts. He focused the Indian religion with the whale frog. He gave a message that one should not be like whale frog. And this speech by Vivekananda blew everyone's mind. Swami Vivekananda had mentioned the basic yet most important thing that one should follow in life. These things included being patriotic, loving all religions, analyzing religion, being acquainted with science, knowing importance and necessity of rituals, being aware roots of Hinduism, being aware of the goal of science, and being aware of the cause of downfall India, and being against religious conservations. When he focused being acquainted with science, he said how Vedas have proved that there was no time when there was no creation, and how the same thing has been proved by science that states that the aggregate of cosmic energy is always the same. This shows how important it is to broaden your horizons and to keep learning so that you are able to establish a rational connection to your religious beliefs. And these beliefs sometimes appear to be baseless when they are not backed up by proper logic. Then he focused why image is needed. One of the biggest criticism leveled at anyone's religion is how he or she always has some images in mind. Here, Vivekananda justified such practices by stating that it is this sense of association that allows them to focus on hand while knowing fully well that the image does not represent God or omnipotence in any way. While people who feel that religion and God are tools of the weak might not agree with such assertion, they do need to acknowledge the fact that they should understand others. They should understand the others' religious points of view also. They need to be there is a necessary to understand the religion of other people and to have compassion for all. In the history of mankind, there have been rare instances where the introductory words spoken by a person have electrified the whole audience. Really, this speech was groundbreaking speech, and this speech made him an iconic monk of India. Here, though the speech was delivered in 1893, even today, this speech is very important. So, let's conclude my lecture with a quote by Swami Vivekananda. All power is within you. You can do anything and everything. Thank you.